his MMA career. I want Anderson Silva, so give me a shot, please.
I've been dreaming about this fight with Anderson Silva since I started MMA.
If there is one guy in the middleweight division that can beat Anderson Silva, he's the man. Chris Weidman will be the next middleweight champion.
Let's see if Weidman takes him down. He does. Weidman is in his world now.
Without a doubt, this is going to be Anderson Silva's toughest defense of his belt today.
I'm a nightmare matchup for him, stylistically. I have better wrestling, and I have better jiu-jitsu. I'm young, I'm hungry, I'm athletic, I'm long.
I will fight anybody at any time. But every time when I was in that division and my phone rang, I would think, geez, I hope they're not going to tell me I got Chris Weidman.
I think he has the attitude, the talent, the wrestling to be something special.
Anderson Silva, Chris Weidman.
This fight's gonna get nasty.
UFC middleweight champion Anderson Silva puts his belt on the line against undefeated top-ranked challenger Chris Weidman. Former lightweight champ Frankie Edgar squares off with rising featherweight star Charles Oliveira. And 6th-ranked featherweight Dennis Siver battles 5th-ranked contender Cub Swanson. The countdown to UFC 162 starts now.
The next middleweight contender to challenge Anderson Silva emerges.
If you're going to build someone to beat Anderson Silva, I think Chris Weidman would be that guy.
And the Chris Weidman train keeps rolling.
There's guys that are tough fighters, there's guys that are talented fighters, and then there are guys that stand out even amongst the sea of tough and talented fighters. And Chris Weidman is one of those.
Chris Weidman showing he can wrestle and he can strike.
This is the guy to break Anderson's undefeated streak. Chris is a very, very good wrestler and All-American, and he's also an undefeated mixed martial artist.
Weidman looking for that takedown. Got it. Nice! And got it, just like that.
Weidman's a master grappler. Weidman's an All-American wrestler. He can take Anderson down. He's far superior on the ground.
Weidman immediately goes for the high crotch and finishes with the double.
Let's see if Weidman takes him down. He does.
How good are his takedowns?
His wrestling is probably his weakest discipline.
There it is again.
You always want to bring your opponent to where you have that advantage. So I will be looking for the takedown anytime it's presented to me.
Nice takedown into side control.
Good position for Chris Weidman.
A probabilidade dos meus adversários terem supostamente uma maior chance é usando o wrestler ou me botando para baixo.
He has to go back, follow Chael Sonnen's blueprint, and take the fight to Anderson Silva the very same way that Chael did, and also just avoid the submissions.
Triangle, watch out! Triangle! This is trouble! This is trouble! That's what's... He's down! It's all over!
That's where Chael went wrong. When he got top position, he was a little bit just too rushed and too tense. When I get him to the ground, everything's gonna be steady, precise. You know, I'm not gonna waste punches when I don't have to.
Weidman is in his world now. Vicious
he's working on that cup. Nice elbow, and he's bleeding badly from another spot now.
There's one factor that has not been accounted for in Weidman's game, and that's his jiu-jitsu game.
Standing guillotine,
trying to lock it in. It is all over!
Weidman, I'm telling you, has one of the best BJJ games out there.
You have to respect that front headlock from Weidman because he'll turn that into a guillotine choke or a darce.
He's amazing. If he gets that full mount position, he's gonna finish the fight.
Lawler is in all sorts of trouble.
Trying to get it right here.
He's out.
Yeah,
He's out.
It is all over!
Wow.
What Chris brings to the table is an offense which merges jiu-jitsu skills and wrestling skills. He can impose them on an opponent through a physicality which few people can keep up with.
Weidman relentless with his positioning and with those attacks. This is why Weidman is so dangerous.
And now Anderson starting to throw the strikes. Wow, good takedown defense by Silva.
A minha segunda luta com o Chael foi muito melhor porque eu não estava machucado, né?
And that was something that we didn't see. That is an early turning point in this fight. That's a knee.
Se eu tivesse do mesmo jeito que eu tava nessa segunda luta com ele na primeira,
Big
nem teria segunda luta, mas enfim.
Whether he's healthy or not healthy, if we get into a wrestling situation, I'm going to be the stronger guy in the cage.
Oh, look at that, though. He lost him. Oh, that's some wrestling right there.
Não existe uma modalidade melhor que a outra, acho que uma se completa. O Chael tem um bom wrestling? Tem, mas ele precisa de um bom jiu-jitsu para completar o wrestling dele. O Weidman tem um bom jiu-jitsu? Tem. Ele tem um bom wrestling? Tem, mas ele precisa de uma boa base em pé para completar todo o treino dele.
And a big elbow inside. They landed a shot that hurts Munoz. Chris Weidman with a huge knockout of Mark Munoz.
Anderson Silva, if he wants to teach me some stand-up after I fight, I'd love to learn. And I'll teach him some wrestling and jiu-jitsu.
Anyone who says elbows just cut, we just saw one that knocked people out.
I'm willing to exchange with him, but we're not going to have a kickboxing match. It's all about deceiving your opponent. You know, Chael Sonnen dropped Anderson Silva, I think, twice. No one would say that Chael Sonnen has better striking than Anderson Silva. But when he's thinking about the takedown, you punch some guy in the face, they're gonna feel it.
He hurt him again!
All these different opponents have always said what they're gonna do to Anderson when they get inside the octagon. Anderson doesn't have to say what he's gonna do. He just goes out there and does it.
Silva trying to finish it here. Another knee. And down goes Franklin, and it is all over.
Nice leg kick by Urban.
And Urban's in trouble already.
Anderson Silva does things inside the octagon that make you wonder whether or not he's human.
Silva, confident in his striking. Look at the hands flow.
Yeah, I think he
Ducks
really
under.
does.
Oh, down goes Griffin.
Anderson Silva moves like a man in a video game.
I'm not in there to just share the octagon with him. He knows he's not going to beat me before we step in that cage like he's beating a lot of other guys.
He is the reigning, defending UFC.
I'm undefeated. I refuse to lose. I'm going to have that mindset when we walk into the cage.
Standing guillotine, trying to lock it in. It's all over! This is the first time I've ever looked at a guy who's stepping into the octagon to face Anderson Silva. And I've said, you know what? This guy could be the guy. He could beat him.
I grew up in Baldwin, Long Island. It's on the South Shore of Long Island. It's a diverse neighborhood. My dad pretty much got us in sports when we were real young. Started with hockey and baseball, soccer, you know, pretty much everything. Eventually fell in love, you know, with wrestling and then went on with that. I was a two-time county champion, four-time conference champion, state champion, couple-time All-American wrestling in high school. I went to Nassau Community College, Hofstra University. I was a four-time college All-American, two-time junior college All-American, and two-time Division I All-American. As much as I've accomplished in wrestling, I never felt like I fulfilled my goals. So I never felt like I really achieved what I wanted to. So it made me even more hungry to do MMA.
Guys down, push up position.
His first teacher was a very close friend of mine, Matt Serra.
1, 2.
And he learned under Matt, competed in a submission grappling tournament, the Abu Dhabi World Championships, did extremely well.
After 3 months of jiu-jitsu with the gi on, I decided to try my first tournament. And I won my weight class and the absolute division, which is every single weight class combined, the best guys in the tournament. And I submitted every single one of them, 13 opponents by submission. I won $1,000, a championship belt, some free clothes. That's when I realized I was meant to do this.
Chris added another jiu-jitsu coach, Renzo Gracie, world-famous member of the family that invented the discipline, and mentor to UFC champions George St. Pierre and Frankie Edgar.
When he's throwing the hand up. Yes. And grab it. As you pass mount. Beautiful.
Renzo's rule, you know, is also huge. Anytime Renzo comes to a room, he's always showing me something that's like, geez, I didn't think that would ever work, and then now I start hitting it. Just like little tricks that I don't think he only shares with certain people. When I decided to get into MMA, everyone knew if you're in Long Island, you go see Ray Longo. He develops like an emotional connection to his fighters.
We developed an instant rapport, very analytical, was very inquisitive, wanted to know what was going on, and right from day one, I knew he had something special.
Less than a year after beginning his MMA training, Chris turned pro. His first opponent lasted 95 seconds.
He was a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt.
Whoa! Weidman goes for the Greco throw.
I ended up taking him down in the first round and submitting him.
He's got it, done.
Opponent number 2 made it over 2 minutes.
Big right hand by Weidman. Nice right hand again.
Stewart's in trouble here.
It's over.
Future Ultimate Fighter sensation Uriah Hall became victim number 3.
Gentle for 3. Here we go.
Uriah Hall was definitely a challenge. He's an unbelievable athlete, so people get intimidated. But I knew where my head was at, and I was very confident.
Okay, that answer double leg down. We'll see if Uriah can get back to his feet.
Nice right hand by Hall.
Weidman with a kick. Oh, Weidman landed a shot. Oh, and he nailed Uriah Hall with a left hook. Weidman teeing off on Uriah Hall. And that's it, this fight is over.
It was a great fight. I ended up being able to showcase my stand-up by knocking him out in the first round.
When Matt Serra talks about Chris Weidman, he talks about him in a way that is reserved for a special athlete. He doesn't talk about him and say, oh, this kid's tough, this kid's really good, you know, he's gonna have a good career in the UFC. He says, this guy's a
My UFC debut wasn't a fairy tale debut I always imagined.
Let's fight!
It was on 2.5 weeks' notice, and they asked me if I wanted to fight against Alistarse Sakara.
nice straight right by Weidman.
He was on a 3-fight win streak. He had like 12 fights already in the UFC. He was a devastating striker, but it took about 30 seconds for me to realize, oh, this is my opportunity. I gotta take this. I'm gonna run with it. I'm gonna beat this guy.
Oh, just tagged him.
And another big takedown. Living up to the billing in his UFC debut, Chris Weidman.
My next opponent was Jesse Bonkfeld.
That's some wrestling right there.
I ended up submitting him in the first round by standing guillotine.
10 seconds on the clock now.
Standing guillotine.
Trying to lock it in. It is all over!
Wow.
Chris Weidman.
My third fight in the UFC was against Tom Lawler.
Let's fight.
He's a really tough guy, you know, strong wrestler with good jiu-jitsu and heavy hands on his feet. Ended up taking him down right away in the first round and put him to sleep.
Trying to finish the fight.
He's in a lot of trouble here. And Weidman is squeezing in. He's using that left leg to get leverage.
He's out. Yep.
He's out.
It is all over. The All-American wins by submission. Chris Weidman, with the injury to Mark Munoz, he takes tonight's fight against Damian Maia on 11 days' notice.
This is a guy who's fought Anderson Silva to 5 rounds. He's a guy who submitted Chael Sonnen in the first round.
Nice takedown into side control.
Chris Weidman may just pull off the biggest victory of his MMA career.
Chris Weidman.
Going against Mark Munoz was, you know, at that time, the biggest fight of my career.
Weidman immediately goes for the high crotch and finishes with the double. Beautiful right in the side mount is Weidman.
I mean, he was, on paper, a better wrestler than me, on paper, better striker.
Not a good start for Mark Munoz.
He's a real explosive guy, and he has a strong right hand, so every time he was coming to lunge in with that right hand, I was popping him with, I went from a cross to a hook. He came in again. It was just kind of like, let me switch it up, and as soon as he came with that right hand, I see he wanted to hit me really bad, and I was like, let me just throw that elbow in there.
And a big elbow inside. They landed a shot that hurts Munoz out. He rocks him on the way out.
after beating Mark Munoz, I got scheduled against Tim Boach. And about 8 weeks out from that fight, I tore my labrum, my rotator cuff, my AC joint. So I was out of that fight.
Chris's path to the fight has been beset by obstacles that I think would have stopped a lesser person.
My backyard. I cannot believe this. We didn't think it was going to get in our house. No one thought it was really going to get in our house. Jesse, I am so screwed, bro. The worst storm we've ever had on this block as far as flooding was Hurricane Irene, which was the year before. And we didn't get water even in this garage. So when they said Hurricane Sandy's coming, they said this is gonna be a bad one, but they said it was gonna be something around something like Hurricane Irene. The calm before the storm. My backyard. I cannot believe this. It's 3 hours before high tide even hits. That's what we're looking at, in the middle of my street. The reason I stayed, we didn't think it was gonna get in our house. No one thought it was really gonna get in our house. But we had some sandbags around the garage and tarp, thinking that's gonna stop the water from coming in. It is almost up to our garage. Ridiculous. Obviously, it got a lot worse than we could have ever imagined. I'm inside now, it's getting kind of crazy. And this is what we're looking at. These lights go out. This is the last you'll see, and that's it. Couch is floating. Couch is floating away. As you can see. My garage in there, fully filled. Water's actually in the bathtub. And there was no water in the bathtub before we got here. This is not good. I actually came out here when there was about 4 feet of water to try to get a pump going in the crawl space over here. I ended up getting electrocuted by the pump and then came back inside and never went back outside again. Jesse, I am so screwed, bro. Every one of those bins was spilt over. We had everything stacked in bins and weighed down so we'd be good. And everything just, when the water came up, everything just got flipped over and all the bins opened up and everything got ruined. I was actually coming in and out of here trying to save stuff when the water first came to the garage. You had diapers going through past my face, and we found out later that all the sewage was up. So yeah, I was swimming in sewage. Everything you can imagine you have in a house got ruined. It was a good night. See the boat upside down, pretty much. The next day, it was just chaos out here. I mean, there was just boats and jet skis everywhere, you know, on front lawns. We had a basketball hoop on our front lawn that came from 4 blocks down. There was people's roofs on top of other people's roofs. 3 houses were destroyed completely. Life has definitely changed for everyone down here, you know, for a long time.
Chris is a family man. He has a wife and children, and in 24 hours, he went from a normal, settled family life to one where he was essentially homeless.
7 months later, we're still not back to normal. It's been a lot longer road than that day, you know, when Hurricane Sandy hit. I've envisioned the moment where Dana White comes behind me, he's trying to fidget around and get that belt around her waist. I had Hurricane Sandy I had to deal with. Been living in my parents' basement with my daughter for a long time. This would be, you know, a dream come true for me and my family. It'd make me feel like I'm doing this for the right reason.
Last October, middleweight champion Anderson Silva, the top pound-for-pound fighter in the world, owner of a UFC record 15-fight win streak, took his third fight at 205 pounds. His first two opponents lasted less than 4.5 minutes combined.
Anderson Silva, Stephan Bonner. Here we go!
Anderson Silva has really deceptive strength.
Então, na verdade, quando eu tava na grade, eu não empurrei ele pra sair da grade. Na verdade, ele desistiu de me pressionar contra a grade pra me derrubar e eu voltei pra grade.
Yeah, Anderson went back to the cage. He's standing there on the cage on purpose.
E nesse tempo, ele voltou de novo. E ele não tinha recuperado toda a energia dele pra, de repente, conseguir um takedown perfeito.
He went right back. This is crazy. That shows what disdain he has for Bonner's skills.
É parte do meu estilo de luta, lutar com a guarda um pouco baixa e induzir os meus adversários a errar. Eu não faço nada para aparecer para os fãs ou coisa parecida. Eu faço o que eu treino e o que eu coloco em prática na luta é exatamente o que eu treino.
Oh, wow. Good shot.
And he generates so much power with those short punches, Joe.
O corner pediu para que eu saísse da grade, né?
He's turned his corner, yeah. I got it, it's all good.
Para manter a calma dos meus corners e a minha calma também, pedi para eles ficarem calmos, que eu sabia exatamente o que estava fazendo.
Anderson holding onto the arm, and he takes him down.
Quando ele levantou desequilibrado. E aí, o momento que eu vi que podia dar a joelhada foi onde eu apliquei o golpe.
If you tried to do that knee 100 times, it probably wouldn't land in the right place the way it did that night. And Anderson just has a tendency to be able to do that.
Looking to finish the fight right here. It is all over. Anderson Silva.
It was the first knockout loss of Stephan Bonner's 13-year career.
One more brilliant performance by the greatest martial artist of all time.
E eu fiz o que eu tinha que fazer. Eu acho que se treina 100%, o resultado é 100%.
Moving forward, Anderson will be doing a good deal of that training away from his home in Rio.
Anderson opened up a gym here in Torrance, California, basically as a private training facility for himself.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Eu abri a minha escola aqui, né? É um sonho desde quando eu comecei a treinar. É o meu espaço onde eu treino com os meus amigos. Isso aqui é uma extensão da minha casa.
A facility like this is not for everyone, but then again, Anderson Silva is just not anybody. He's the best of all time, and I believe he deserves to have a training facility like this of his own.
It's expected that Anderson will eventually engage in super fights with fellow champions George St. Pierre and John Jones. But Chris Weidman has other plans.
Trust me, I talked to Chris Weidman myself. Guy looks me right in the eye and says, I'm telling you, I apologize that I'm gonna all your super fights, but I'm gonna win this fight. Because if you take Anderson Silva out of the mix, the super fights are all gone. It's verbatim what the guy said to me.
Independente de ele me vencer ou não, uma super luta com o George St. Pierre é uma super luta. Não é George St. Pierre e Weidman. Ele tá chegando agora. É uma super luta. John Jones, Anderson Silva. É outro nível. Ele vai ter chances dele. Eu respeito ele como atleta, mas ele não vai estragar plano nenhum. Vai continuar sendo super luta. Então, ele foi infeliz nesse comentário. Uma pena.
The greatest fighter on the planet Earth, ladies and gentlemen, Anderson Silva.
You know, these titles, like greatest of all time, you know, he's earned that, and I have a lot of respect for that. But that's not the guy I'm going to be fighting. I'm not going to fight the greatest of all time. You know, I'm not thinking of that when I'm walking to the cage.
Chris Weidman!
You know, I'm not fighting the myth, I'm not fighting this aura, this mystique. I'm fighting a man who I think that my skill set is better than. And that's really all there is to it.
Chris Weidman is a scary man, and he is the biggest threat that Anderson Silva has ever faced in his entire spectacular career.
Como eu disse, o Weidman tem as qualidades dele. Todo mundo tem uma falha, todo mundo tem uma fraqueza.
I'm confident and I have a lot of tools to beat anybody in the world.
Give it up, ladies and gentlemen, Chris Weidman!
I am completely ready to be the UFC champion.
The star continues to rise.
Before the middleweight title fight, 4 featherweight contenders will make their case for the next shot at the 145-pound belt. 23-year-old Charles Oliveira, who started his career 14-0, takes on former lightweight champion Frankie Edgar, who is welcomed to the division by the number 4 pound-for-pound fighter in the world, Jose Aldo.
The champion, the former champion. 5 rounds of fighting for the title at 145.
Bring it on, come on.
And we are underway. The first leg kick thrown by Frankie Edgar.
I felt great at 145. The days leading up to weigh-ins, I did my same routine. I didn't have to change anything. I felt really good.
Oh, there it is. Big one.
The guys I had training with me for that camp, still training with me now, you know, they beat my leg up a little bit throughout the camp, so I built a little bit of a tolerance toward it.
Nice jab. Nasty. Looks like some blood might be coming out of the nose of Frankie Edgar.
I think I get my nose bloody in sparring all the time, too. It's just, I'm a bleeder, I guess you could say.
Round 2. There it is. Oh, big right hand by Frankie. Well timed. There is an endless gas tank to Frankie Edgar. There's another one.
Now this is where Aldo starts to slow down. If there's a time where Frankie can start to gain an advantage, this could be it. Oh! Boy, Edgar never stops moving. They got to attack again. He gets him this time. I think Frankie Edgar has won the last 2 rounds for sure. Good combo by Frankie.
The 4th and 5th rounds, those are usually my rounds.
And still, the undisputed UFC featherweight champion of the world.
Kind of done talking about, you know, whether I won fights, didn't win fights. It doesn't matter what I think. You know, Jose went home with the belt, and then that's the end of the story. I'm not disappointed in my performances. It just didn't happen to go my way. I'm happy where I'm at right now.
Frankie Edgar, ladies and gentlemen.
UFC 162 will be Frankie's first 3-round fight in nearly 4 years. His last 7 fights have been for a title.
This is a blessing in disguise, I feel like, you know, coming back to a 3-round fight. It's gonna make me get out the gun early and make sure, you know, first round I'm in his face and I'm in the rhythm that I like to be in the 4th and 5th.
Push, there we go.
The last time Frankie had a non-title fight, 23-year-old Charles Oliveira was still fighting at small promotions in his native Brazil.
Eu moro perto da Chaparral, né, que é uma comunidade que é uma favela mesmo. Alguns dos meus melhores amigos ou já morreram ou estão presos. Perto de comunidade, você sabe todo mundo que é assim, é difícil. Pelo fato da minha mãe e meu pai sempre ensinam pra gente seguir o caminho certo, a gente tá onde a gente tá hoje. Meu pai trabalhou muito tempo trabalhando na feira como ferista e minha mãe trabalhando muito como empregada doméstica. Eu comecei a treinar jiu-jitsu com 12 anos. Comecei com 18 anos no MMA e logo em seguida já fui até os profissionais, os eventos profissionais e graças a Deus, tudo com vitória.
The Brazilian excited to make his UFC debut.
Quando eu entrei no UFC, se não me engano, acho que eu tinha 14-0. Ser convidado do UFC acho que foi uma das melhores coisas que aconteceu na minha vida. Minha primeira luta contra o Darren Wilkins foi uma luta muito dura, mas uma luta que foi muito rápida também, uma luta que durou 41 segundos.
Grabs a hold of him, got him up, and down, big takedown. But immediately, look how he scrambles to guard. Look at this.
Uma coisa que eu gosto muito de fazer, que é trabalhar no jiu-jitsu.
He's got it locked up, Mike.
Fazendo a transição do triângulo pro armlock.
Elkins is in all kinds of trouble. Oh, he's done.
Welcome to the UFC.
Meu segundo sonho, depois que eu entrei no UFC, era de ter dado uma casa pra minha mãe. E graças a Deus, Deus ainda me deu a finalização muito rápida e ainda ganhar o bônus da noite. Isso pra mim foi um dos meus maiores sonhos realizados.
6 weeks later, Charles submitted Ultimate Fighter winner Efren Escudero.
Oliveira's got the choke. Trying to submit Efren Escudero. Oh, he's got it in deep. It is all over. It is all over. I mean, you want to talk about a guy who can finish.
A unique submission of Eric Wisely.
Foi uma luta também que foi rápida e uma finalização que ninguém nunca viu no mundo da luta.
But his foot is still trapped in there. He can turn it into a knee bar, but not now. The knee is a little bit further down on the crotch. He's out of it, but he's got to be careful here because Oliveira's going to take his back.
Man, nice transitioning, and it is all over.
Was followed by another of Jonathan Brookins.
He may have a guillotine here. Little modified guillotine. It looks pretty tight here, John. Yep.
And there's the tap. Charles Oliveira. Yet another finish in the UFC.
Up next for Charles is a test against one of the sport's elite.
Ele já foi um grande campeão, ele é um grande lutador de wrestling, um grande lutador de boxe.
He's tough, he's dangerous. Very tall for a 45-pounder. Probably the tallest guy I may have ever fought. He's got pretty good Muay Thai. Mixes it up well with kicks, knees, elbows. And he's willing to go for broke, to go for submissions.
Acho que o Frank Edgar também deve pensar que eu vou tentar levar ele pra parte de chão, mas essa luta tá indo bem mais completo.
Nasty right hand. He's landing combination after combination. Oh my!
Eu tenho 3 áudios pra ganhar essa luta, sem pressa nenhuma. E na hora certa, a gente vai agir.
But Oliveira's got all of it down. Nicely done.
It'll be nice to get a clear-cut win and work my way back towards the title shot.
Eu tô lutando com um dos melhores da categoria, um cara que já foi dono do cinturão. É uma luta muito boa pra mim, é uma oportunidade da minha vida.
The hype is for real.
100% I'm gonna win this time. Not going home disappointed.
The UFC's featherweight division is just a cauldron overflowing with talent. There are so many high-level grapplers, strikers, and mixed martial arts fighters in the UFC's featherweight division.
The main card kicks off with 2 of the top 10 145-pounders in the world.
I'm pretty excited that they have so many 45ers on the main card because we get a chance to see side by side who deserves a title shot, who's next.
Swanson's is showing a little bit more variety, more tricky with his striking.
Oh, the big knee comes up with a beautiful straight right, and comes Swanson with the judo toss, and now he goes to the mount.
I want to be the one that they go, okay, after seeing this fight, Cub deserves it.
Fighting out of Palm Springs, California, Cub Swanson won 15 of his first 19 fights, including 3 WEC Fights of the Night.
Nice head toss.
But his UFC debut ended in a disappointing loss to top contender Ricardo Lamas.
My second fight with Roop, I remember waking up the morning of the fight, and I sat in my bed for a little bit, and I just thought to myself, today's the day, you make it or break it. You lose this fight, you're probably gonna get cut from the UFC. Your dream's gone. So, man up and get it done.
Cub Swanson looks very determined, very focused. He said, I do not like George Roop, and I would love to knock him out.
I hit him with a good jab. I saw his face, and he knew that he needed to get away from me. He tried to check hook me, and I ducked under it and just hit him with an overhand right. When I looked, he wasn't there anymore. I had to like kind of look down, and I was like, oh, I caught him.
Trying to finish it right here. Big right hand. And it is all over.
That knockout was the most incredible feeling. I was just on cloud 9.
Swanson earns his first victory inside the octagon. And you see the emotion.
It just made me hungry for more.
There he caught Pearson off balance and definitely rocked him with that shot.
With the Ross Pearson fight, my goal was to piss him off with a lot of jabs.
Nice right hand from Swanson, very clean strike.
He started coming after me. And when that happens, you're over-aggressive, you make mistakes.
And how about that front kick from Swanson? Pearson's hurt! And that's gonna do it!
A first-round knockout of Charles Oliveira.
Over the top. And he's hurt.
Yeah, he's done.
And it is all over.
He's done.
Swanson by knockout.
Was followed by a war with fellow contender Dustin Poirier.
Dustin Poirier and Cub Swanson.
I hit him with some shots in the fight that I thought he would have went down, and he recovered pretty quick. That surprised me.
Huge uppercut for Swanson.
Swanson really firing on all cylinders now.
The last part of the fight was pretty funny. We were in a scramble. He almost got on top of me, and at the last second, I kind of popped my hips and grabbed his arm, and I kind of like secured myself for a good position.
And the fighters having a little bit of a dialogue there.
He was like, I can't believe you took this from me. You took this from me. I just kind of laughed, and I was like, I want this more than you, bud.
So making 4 straight wins for Cub Swanson.
Man, my confidence is so high. I've never felt better than now. I feel like finally everything's clicking. My next fight's with Dennis Siver.
Dennis Siver entered the UFC back in 2007 as a 5'6" welterweight. After struggling at 170, he dropped down to 155, where he scored 8 wins, including 2 spectacular knockouts. Last April, Siver, now 34, made another cut, down to 145 pounds.
Ja, die Leute im Leichtgewicht sind mir zu groß geworden. Und dadurch habe ich halt sehr viele Reichweiten-Nachteile. Und ja, körperlich bin ich auch zu klein für die Gewichtsklasse. Durch das Gewichtsverlust bin ich auf jeden Fall etwas schneller geworden. Meine Ausdauer ist ein bisschen besser. Und allgemein bin ich auch etwas schneller geworden, auch beim Sparring oder beim Kämpfen. Viele Bewegungen fallen mir etwas leichter jetzt mit dem Gewicht.
You ready? Let's do this.
Mein erster Gegner im Federgewicht war der Diego Nunes. Das war jetzt letztes Jahr im April in Schweden. In der neuen Gewichtsklasse war es wichtig, guten Start hinzulegen, damit man weiter in Richtung Titel sich vorarbeiten kann. Es war ein wichtiger Kampf und ein sehr wichtiger Sieg für mich.
Dennis Siver!
1-0 at 145.
Der nächste Gegner war der Nam Phan.
Nice right hand there by Siver.
Das war auch mehr so ein Standkampf.
Siver's going to work on him, man. Dennis Siver takes Nam Phan to the ground.
In der ersten Runde zumindest, danach ging es auf den Boden, da konnte ich meine Bodentechniken zeigen.
Hard elbow, right to the jaw by Siver.
Ground and Pound, halt viele Schläge. Das war ein sehr deutlicher Kampf, eine sehr klare Entscheidung. Das war auch ganz gut.
What a dominant performance by Dennis Siver, his second fight as a featherweight in the UFC.
Ich denke, ich kann jeden der Federgewichtsklasse schlagen. Wenn ich in guter Form bin und gute Vorbereitung hatte, kann ich jeden in der Federgewichtsklasse schlagen, egal wer das ist. Auch der Cap Svensson.
Caught him, hurt him, and finished him. Dennis Siver.
I just want to go in there and try to look pretty, you know what I mean? That's how you leave your legacy, man. You go out there and make it look pretty. I want to be like beautiful destruction.
Cap Svensson ist ein sehr explosiver Mann, ist ein guter Stand-Up-Fighter, ja, ein sehr gefährlicher Kämpfer. Der schlägt halt Leute gerne K.O.
Getting very fluid, and how about that front kick from Swanson? Pearson's hurt, and that's gonna do it.
Deshalb wird es halt auch sehr interessant, denke ich, weil das ist meine Stärke auch.
Siver's pretty aggressive, keeps a high tempo, kind of surprising for a big, stocky guy. He's got some tricky moves, but I think I got him figured out.
Cub would love to turn it into a brawl, and he's very aggressive. He is aggressive. He's calling with a right.
Oh, the spinning back fist coming from Cub Swanson.
Er macht auch sehr viele unerwartete Sachen, sehr viele unkonventionelle Techniken.
Swanson just throwing everything. How about landing that left hand on the way up? High-level stuff.
I think my hand speed, I'm the fastest in the division. I train with professional boxers, and I play that game with them quite often. And then go and fight in MMA, they throw a punch at me, I'm like, really? Really?
Also ich glaube nicht, dass er schneller ist als ich. Wenn ich mich auf den Kampf gut vorbereitet habe und mein Gewicht gemacht habe, dann bin ich mindestens genauso schnell wie er. Da mache ich mir überhaupt keine Sorgen.
Wenn ich mir beide anschaue, halt um den Style, also ich sage, der Dennis ist definitiv stärker, einfach kräftiger, muskulöser. Und ich glaube auch nicht, dass er dieselbe Knockout-Power hat wie der Dennis.
I know he doesn't have more power than me. I'm trying to be more explosive, more accurate, more deadly. I want to hit you once and put you to sleep.
Oh, good right hand over the top. And he's hurt. Yeah, he's done. And it is all over. He's done. Cub Swanson by knockout. Right into the midsection, spinning back kick. That's a kick in. Beautiful shot.
In diesem Kampf, genauso wie den anderen, werde ich mit meinen Kicks auch viel machen können. Auch viel von seiner Technik da rausnehmen oder viel von seinen Angriffen jetzt irgendwie unterdrücken und ihn unter Druck setzen mit meinen Kicks.
Yep, there it is. Oh, got him with his head. Dennis Siver spinning back kick. Looking to finish. It is over. Outstanding.
He'll try to stand with me. He'll see what it's all about, and he'll definitely try to take it to the ground. Which is fine, you know, I've been doing jiu-jitsu a while. I got one of those black belts.
Ich werde meinen Kampf so gestalten, dass ich überhaupt keine Chance für Cap Svensson lasse. Dass ich komplett meine Taktik durchsetze, meinen Kampfstil durchsetze. Ich versuche mein Bestes zu geben. Ich werde ihn an dem Tag schlagen. Und ich werde dann der nächste Titelherausforderer sein.
Siver with the knee. Big punches by Siver. Oh, he got rocked. Dennis Siver.
My time is now, and it's gonna come. The person who stands in front of me in the cage is just a sucker for stepping in there because it's my cage, and I believe that 100%.
Dennis Siver.
Cub Swanson, ladies and gentlemen.